Welcome to What's the Story? My name is Matt Edmondson, and this is a podcast full of stories about faith and courage from everyday people. And today I am chatting to the beautiful, the talented, the all-round amazing people, which are Malc and Trish Morgan. We're going to be talking about higher heights, deeper seas, living in Northern Ireland, Greece, Liverpool, everywhere on the planet basically. But before we get into that with Malc and Trish, let me explain to you that this episode is brought to you by Crowd Church, which is an online church. And you can check out a whole bunch of live streams from online alphas to questions like what does the Bible say about suffering, to the Christmas episode that Malc and Trish did for us on Crowd Church a few years ago. You can check out all of that on our website at crowd.church. Yes, Crowd is an online church, so do check it out. The website, www.crowd.church, and sign up for the newsletter while you're there, as each week we will email you the links from the podcast, the notes, the transcripts, none of that spam nonsense, but it's all directly to your inbox, totally free, and it's totally amazing. Now, Malc and Trish, before I read your bio, one thing that I do want to do, because it says here in my notes, let's give a shout out. And I said to you guys before we started recording, who do you want to give a shout out to? And you guys said...
Karam Kadur.
And why are we giving those, those, Karam is a person, not of those. I'm thinking of Karam and Liz, who are a beautiful couple. Why are we giving them a shout out?
Karam just got his citizenship to become a UK citizen. He's a refugee from Syria and arrived a few years ago in Britain and has now got his citizenship.
9 years
That's
from leaving Syria
awesome.
to now. Yeah, congrats, Karan.
Yeah, stoked for you, man. I remember being at their wedding a while ago. Oh, it was a while ago now. They've got, it's great that they've got the citizenship. And in fact, let's do this, the Steve Wright thing we talked about before. Yeah. Big up. We're so pleased for you, Cram. So that's awesome, man. So guys, listen, welcome to the podcast. Let me read your bio, right? It says here that Malc and Trish Morgan are a couple who have spent their lives working for the church and Christian organizations, which includes a full-time band, which we might want to get into that. You've lived all over the world, like I mentioned, including South Africa, Northern Ireland, Greece, and the UK. Malc is now the senior pastor of St Andrews in Bath. Not Bath, Bath. We were debating that. And Trish has recently written a book recounting some of their incredible faith journeys. This is the book here. Higher Heights and Deeper Seas. We're going to get into that. There's one particular thing which I've underlined. Definitely want to get into that. You can get that on Amazon. You guys have been married, if the notes are correct, for 38 years, have two kids and 4 grandkids. So welcome to What's the Story. It's great to have you here, guys. Really psyched.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Good to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I was trying to think earlier on, like how long I've known you. And it must be when you guys moved to Liverpool that we met, right?
2013, yeah.
2013, is that when you... Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 9 years.
It goes by quick, doesn't it? It really does go by quick. So 9 years. But you guys aren't in Liverpool anymore. You're in, like we said in the intro, you're in Bath now, right? Pastoring a church in Bath?
Yeah, I'm the senior associate minister of an Anglican church called St Andrews on the edge of Bath, and brilliant bunch of people and enjoying every minute of it.
Now, did you, Malc, grow up saying Bath, or is this something you're doing to fit in with the locals?
No, down south we say Bath. I've been a Welshman, I'm down south, it's Bath.
And Trish, are you Bath or Bath?
I'm not sure actually, but probably these days Bath more. Grass, potato, all of that.
Potato. For anybody outside of the UK listening into the podcast, why are we pronouncing words that are the same slightly differently? There is a split in the UK. There's a North Divide split on how you pronounce certain words, Bath being one of them, which is a beautiful town in the UK. And if you're from the south or more southern, you tend to say Bath, whereas if you're more northern, you tend to say Bath or grass rather than grass. And so that's why we're just picking up on regional accents. But Malc, you're from Wales, right? You're not even north or south. You're Welsh.
I'm Welsh. Left Wales many years ago. Yeah, I was brought up first 18 years in Wales. Yeah, long time ago, left there and never returned.
Still got the accent though, right?
Yeah, can't get rid of it. Tried my best.
I like it. It's
Oh,
nice.
it's awesome. It is properly awesome. It's one of my favourite accents, the Welsh accent. So don't ever lose it. It's brilliant. So, guys, great to have you here. Now, one of the things I like to ask on What's the Story is about your sort of faith journey in terms of how you came to faith, right? And I know you both have quite different stories because we did the prequel and we chatted through it. But you both have quite different stories, right? So who wants to go first out of the two of you?
Go on, I'll go first. In Wales, I was brought up, being sent to church by my parents. My parents were religious, and it was the duty to be sent to church every Sunday in a suit and tie, the whole picture. And I hated it. From the age of 5 onwards to 15, we were sent every week to represent the family. The church we went to in Wales was dead. There were only about 12 people in it, scattered throughout a big building. It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Got so bad once, actually, Matt, that I fainted in church one Sunday. I literally fainted. I got carried
Wow.
out by the primary head teacher, driven home. Best thing that happened to me. In fact, it was so good, I fainted the next 3 weeks running from the church.
You'd figured. So the first faint was genuine. The
The
second
first
three
faint
were fake.
were fake. Yep, just that. And my dad basically laid hands on me and I got healed immediately.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. But it wasn't until I was 15 I was given the choice to leave if I wanted to, and I did. And vowed never to enter a church door again at the
Wow.
age of 15. It was
Wow.
dead. There was no life
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
Never
So
heard
what
about
happened? What happened then? Because obviously, I mean, you're leading a church now, so
Yeah, I know.
something
Yeah, well,
obviously
there you
happened in
go.
between, right?
I went to university and got saved at university, met some friends. When you first start university, you go around in groups, and there was about 10 of us in a group, and 2 of them were Christians.
Okay.
And as soon as one of them mentioned that, I started spouting off and making fun of them. And basically, they questioned me on that and got me talking about why. And yeah, over a period of a number of weeks, they introduced me to Jesus. I'd never heard the story of Jesus about salvation when I was going to church all those years. And they introduced me to Jesus. I discovered him for myself, and that was the start of a totally different lifestyle.
Wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
crazy. You can go to church all those years and never actually hear the gospel or the story of Christ, right?
You know, I look back, and the only preach I remember was a vicar coming, and he spoke about Dr. Christian Barnard's first heart operation and talking about whose heart was it. That's the only preach I remember in all
Wow.
those years. Crazy.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you go to uni, you meet up with some Christian friends, and they basically suck you in over a period of time.
Yeah, they opened the Bible to me. I'd never read the Bible read like that. And over a period of 3 months, got me talking about Jesus and who he was and why he died. And it was all new to me. I had no idea. So
So what was it that made you? I'm curious because you became a Christian sort of similar age that I did by the sounds of things. And so what was it then at that age that sort of drew you into going, yes, this is real. Yes, this makes sense for me.
I guess it was again, you're 19 years of age, you're looking at life and what it's all about. And the way they introduced it was so good. It wasn't pushed at me, but we talked about issues and talked about who Jesus was and why he came and died. And it suddenly clicked. It all made sense. And it was only a short step then for me to say, right, I'm committing to this. And it started my faith journey off.
Wow, fantastic. Fantastic. I think you're right. There is a point, isn't there, where you're faced with that truth, where and you kind of decide, well, if this is real, I need to do something about it. I can't just say it's true and then not do anything about it, right? You're kind of confronted with this a little bit. And so that's
And I
interesting.
was. And you know the old story of what if you step out tonight in front of a bus? Where would you go? And I think that was one of the questions I was asked. And as I realized that, I can't put off making a decision. You either choose or not. So, yeah.
It's interesting how that question worked for you. For me, it used to really wind me up.
Well, yeah.
It used to. What happens tonight if you die? I don't know. Leave me alone. Stop asking me crazy questions like that. Used to really wind me up.
It made me think, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. So, Trish, what was your story then growing up?
A very different one to Malc's. I was raised in a Christian family. My father was a minister of a church. And so therefore I was taken along to church, well, right from the very word go. But I was about 7, and I remember going to an evening service one week, and they had a drama. And the drama was very effective, in my opinion. I was only 7, but I realized at the end of the drama that I wanted to make a commitment to Jesus. So I went forward with an elderly man. He also went forward. And we sort of made a commitment to become a Christian. And I think at 7, you're young and you just carry on living life, don't you? And being raised in a Christian family. And it really wasn't until I got into my teens that I started to think one more time about what I believed, why I believed it. Asked my parents some really difficult questions, but came to that conclusion, you know what, there were certain things I couldn't get away from. I believed in the stories in the Bible. I could believe the archaeology proved some of the things that the Bible was talking about. And then it was just a decision as to either Jesus really was who he said he was, or he was an absolute nutter. And we've all been totally deluded and, you know, that kind of thing. So I thought, you know, I'd see so much goodness in this person and the things that he did and the things that he said and the way he elevated women, particularly, I was drawn to. And I thought, I can believe this. And I did when I became a teenager. And to be honest, I've never looked back.
That's interesting, isn't it? Two very different sort of backgrounds. So that, how did you guys get together?
At university, Trish's brother was at university with me.
Yeah.
So again, Trish came down to visit him, and Steve introduced us. So yeah, that's how we first met.
Okay, so was Trish's brother one of the mates that led you to Christ, or was he just somebody you got to know?
He was one of the mates who then discipled me for the next few years. He didn't lead me to the Lord at that time, but we became good friends, and he discipled me really well the next few years.
So for the good folks listening that may not know what you mean when you say he discipled me, just explain what that means.
Yeah, he talked me through life following Jesus and what it means and how you live your life, therefore, how you handle money, how you handle relationships, work, the whole lot. It's a teaching about how to follow Jesus.
That's my older brother. I do also have to say, whilst he might have discipled Malcolm for a while, that when Malcolm and I decided, about a year, 18 months later, to date, my brother was rather concerned, and he took me to one side and he started to tell me all the bad things that Malcolm like.
Great friend.
He said, oh, you don't want to date him, he's very unreliable. And he started to tell me a story of the time that Malcolm had stood a girl up at a cinema and not turned up and all that. And he had this private conversation with me, and Matt was in the other room. And I left. I said to my big brother, thanks very much for that, Steve. I said, but I think I quite fancy him, so if it's all right with you, I'd like to see where this goes. And I walked back into the room, and he's a bit nervous, and he's saying, what did he say? What did he say? And I said to him, if you ever stand me up, if you ever stand me up at the cinema,
wow.
There was a good reason for that story.
Oh, no.
Actually.
We haven't got time. Let's just leave
That's just brilliant.
Rather well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I know that was actually, Trish, you answered my question, because I'm thinking, okay, so because I have a daughter, Zoe, and I was thinking, well, if Josh was discipling somebody at uni, or Zach, someone who just become a Christian, and they met Zoe and decided to start dating Zoe, I would expect my boys to take that guy aside and have a very strong conversation with them. And so I was curious to know if Steve did this, but it sounds like he didn't talk to you, Malc. He talked to Trish and tried to
Yeah, that's right.
But you know what? Okay, it all went full circle. Stephen turned up. He was the best man at our wedding.
So the best man's speech must have been brilliant.
Well, yeah, thank you. Yeah,
we asked him not to tell that story, if you could take that bit out. Anyway, there we are.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
We were real at university. He knew my weaknesses and all the rest.
Oh, no, it's great, isn't it? And yeah. It's really cool. And then I find, like, at uni, I became lifelong friends at uni with a couple of guys. We're still friends. In fact, I'm going to go see one of them tomorrow down in London. A guy called Tony, who's been on the podcast. His wife's actually been on What's the Story, talking about dealing with cancer. He's been on Crowd Church. But we met at uni and we're still mates now. And there's something about this time, isn't there, at uni, when you're young in your faith, where getting around other Christian people just seems like the really smart thing to do. And it brings these sort of lifelong friendships, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think the discipleship that happens there, you're at the same age. It's the last time where people of the same age are together. Once you leave university, you go to jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
Last time that age group is together. And I think it's a brilliant time to disciple and get Jesus known. You know, some of the university work, Fusion, do at university is superb. So,
Yeah, really good point. So you guys meet at uni, you start dating. When did you get married?
Wow. Yeah, about 3 or 4 years later, after, because I was working in London. I trained as a nurse. So I was a nurse, he was training as a teacher. And so we sort of, and then I traveled a lot, and then I joined the band. So it wasn't very easy. We weren't sort of, in the same town, round the corner from one another, dating. We took quite a lot of time apart because of traveling and things. So yeah, a good few years, probably about 4 from the first time that we met to the time that we finally got married.
Okay. And tell me about the band then.
The band were a full-time Christian band at that time. I mean, I loved music. I was happy to play wherever, whenever. But I just got this fantastic opportunity to join a full-time band and Christian band. They were called Heartbeat, and I joined them in the early 80s, and I travelled all over the UK. We played at loads of different venues, colleges, universities, schools, prisons, you name it, and churches. We did that too. We recorded, we wrote songs, and yeah, it was a fantastic training, good foundational thing for me as a songwriting musician to have had in mind. And at some point, we got married, and Malc joined the team as the first non-musical
member. Yeah.
He became the youth worker, so at an MC at events. So when we did events, Malc would be the MC, the youth worker. And we travelled together then for about
6 years.
Was it 6 years? Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, so you early married couple traveling around for 6 years doing the Christian music youth worker stuff. That must have been an absolute riot, surely.
It was a great time. Some amazing stories, some incredible things we saw. We were based in Malmesbury in Wiltshire. The team were there. We had our own homes. People came and stopped with us. There were shared homes. But it was a brilliant time, yeah.
Very formative, I think, in terms of ministry for us. Even, like we were late 20s. And, we then all started to have kids amongst us. So we were quite like a community, to be honest, within. We all went to different churches if you wanted to, but we didn't get much time because we were constantly on the road, constantly at churches, leading their worship, that kind of thing. So we were quite forefront runners to the worship revolution that happened, and so mixing the contemporary rock music kind of thing to worship songs, which before there'd been a real, a division between nice hymny songs, and so we were experimenting, I guess, with the songs that we were writing and wanting it to be extremely modern and contemporary, and writing songs that people could sing as well together, anthemic kind of stuff. So yeah, fantastic experience. We saw, like Matt says, incredible things, and we still meet people anywhere around the world, and that's no lie, that walk up to us and goes, "Can I ask you a question? Did you used to be in a band called Heartbeat?" And if you say yes, then we hear this amazing story of what happened when they went to one of our concerts, how they got saved, how God did an amazing miracle in their lives and their families, and it's really exciting, and it carries on to this day. It's fantastic.
That's an amazing legacy, isn't it? That's we in the church we like to use the analogy of seeds planted. And you just never know when God's going to bear fruit with those seeds, do you? And here you are.
It's very, very humbling as well to
Yeah.
hear people's lives 20 years later,
Yeah.
how influenced them at that time.
Yeah.
That is, crazy. Just
Well, that must thrill you when they come up and say things like that. You're just like, oh
Yeah,
my
I
goodness.
mean,
Absolutely.
to go full circle, at present, we in the summer we spent an evening around a couple's house at the new church that Malc is now the senior minister of, and the guy just offered the fact that he became a Christian at one of our concerts in Bradford and Avon, and I never knew that. And now he's married, he's had kids, and I mean, we're now fast forwarding about 30 odd years, and you're sitting there thinking, well, who knew?
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, it is great. Absolutely
It's a
fantastic.
privilege, yeah.
It is. It's one of those things, isn't it? When you listen to stories like that, it thrills you and you're really excited because you just, when you do stuff, you don't always see God's hand at work at that point in time, do you? Whether it's doing a concert, whether it's writing a book or doing a podcast or doing a sermon, you don't know. You can see certain things, but what you see, I think, is very limited compared to the eternal work that sometimes God's doing. And here you are 20 years later meeting these people.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my goodness!
Yeah,
I just
really. And I think that's the most exciting thing about having an adventure of faith in God, is that you have no idea what God can plan and prepare and purpose for you. You just don't know. You couldn't write it if you tried, but God does have that, and He does have that in mind. You know, that's what it says in the Scripture. We believe that from the Jeremiah, the plans and purposes He has to prosper us and give us a future and give us a hope. And that kind of thing is what God has done and will do. It's not
and it's
like,
still
oh,
doing.
we're
Yeah.
sitting back now and we're just saying, yeah, they were the good old days. Well, actually, we believe that we got a new story to tell today. You know, we don't have to hark back to, oh, remember 40 years ago. It's great
Yeah.
when we get a moment, but we can tell you story after story of stuff that's happened even now, you know.
For instance, on Sunday, retired minister was speaking at our church, and he said how they opened a school up in Uganda, and it was in the rural district, and they thought they were just helping a few poor children. And he went back there recently and got speaking to an ex-pupil who'd started a movement in the country, rebuilding a lot of the schools in the whole country. And he says, what you don't realize is you are changing a nation. What you did changed a nation. And we might never get to hear some of that fruit or see that, but God did work, and you've got to believe that.
Oh,
So,
it's incredible, isn't it? One of the things that's always inspired me about you two, and I do think you're a super inspiring couple, is this inability to rest on what happened yesterday, and the desire to go, God, what have you got for today, and where do I need to be planning to be tomorrow, right? Subject to me still being here. And you're kind of like, you've always had that kind of drive, that kind of desire to see that. Where did that come from? Was that something you've had since day one of marriage? Was it something that you've kind of had to fight for?
we've always said, let's make life an adventure with God. And wherever we've been, we say, okay, Lord, what do you want us to do here? And whatever it is, we'll say yes to. And for me, I like to belong to a church that says yes. We can help in the society doing this, or help in the community doing that. Whatever it is, I want us always to say, yes, we can do that. And I think that's what we've always tried to do.
I think over the years we've realised that I think it's evolved, to be honest. You know, when we were young and married, we just got involved in anything and everything. But slowly but surely, I think that what you can do well comes up to the top. So I think we're good. We're catalysts for change. We come in and we ask questions. Why are we doing it like this? How can we do it better than what's already done? Or do we need to stop something and start something brand new? So we like to pioneer, be innovative in some areas, and always try and make what we're trying to say as accessible as possible. Pull back all the religiosity stuff away from it, and stop overcomplicating the good news of Jesus. It doesn't have to be so highbrow and highfalutin. It can be, say, look, it is every day accessible, this good news of Jesus. And so that's what we aim to do, isn't it? We try and put it
verse
into
from Romans, isn't it? Take your everyday ordinary lives and commit them to God.
Romans 12 from the Message Bible.
Yeah, I was going to say which translation's that.
Yeah, took less for that one, but it's a brilliant version.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, in fact, it's one of the sort of the verses that Sharon and I have held on as a married couple: "Be transformed by the renewing of your minds," right? And that whole, don't let this stuff weigh you down. Just keep going, keep pressing. Paul's, I press on towards the goal of the upward call. I forget which is past and I press on. And you read language like that, and we don't talk like that so much these days, do we? But it's inspiring. But I am aware, right, that if I can draw some comparisons, you've got the Apostle Paul using language like that, which is quite pioneering, quite let's go take the hill kind of language. You're using language like we're good at being a catalyst for change, we're pioneering. How can I put this delicately? Not everybody appreciates that call on people, right? It's that phrase, isn't it? Actually, the Apostle Paul is probably not going to be welcome in most Western churches if he was around today.
Right, yeah.
So how have you dealt with that tension, because there must have been a tension, that call and that wrestle on your lives, and actually the reaction of people on occasion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just want to belong to a church that's relevant in the community. And I think a lot of churches have become irrelevant. They have no part almost to play in the community anymore. And that angers us, it annoys me, because I want the church to be involved in whichever community it's in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we get misunderstood, we get some criticism, but for me, for the joy set before us, you endure things. So
I called a bus earlier on this morning, and this bus driver was in full flow. He was waiting to be changed over, and he was standing there at the platform of the bus, and he was just talking about his schedule for the day. And so I was asking him questions, and I said, I didn't realise that you went on a different route now. I thought you stayed in the same. No, I've now got to get a different kind of bus, and later on, he was getting at us, and I think you've got a few things you want to get off your chest, dude, because he was really going for it. And he said, well, to be honest, he said, it's the passengers. And when they keep ringing that bell, and then we were laughing. And I said, buses would be great to drive, wouldn't they, if you didn't have passengers? And churches would be great to run if you didn't have people. But the truth is, we are very human, and it's full of people. And yeah, it's not easy, especially when they know somebody new's coming in, and straight away people thinking, oh, don't touch this. This is what I do, and it's worked. And quite honestly, if it's worked well, we keep it. We don't go in and go, that's rubbish, we're going to scrap everything, like some politicians we could think of late. We come in, we wait to see what works. We all know what works and the people working in it. We don't change things for the sake of change, but then we think, right, actually, having looked how that works, I think we can actually improve on that and do this a bit better. So I think it is managing people, managing the expectations, trying to make people feel there is function and role for them, but in places where they are going to shine best. Yeah. So, we all know that when you go into some places, you're thinking, you know what, you are a square peg in a round hole there. That is not working for anybody at all, you or the others. So let's see if we can fit you somewhere else where it does work and where you can shine and where things can be better. So that's the difficulty, Matt, I think sometimes, and it's how we've done that over the years. Maybe we've made some mistakes over the years in attempting that, but we do believe in transitioning and transformation, and in doing that, sometimes no pain, no gain.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, well done. So let's talk about then some of the challenges that you guys you've had to deal obviously with people. It's often said that, without people, there wouldn't be problems. Like you said, the passengers on the bus, I love that analogy. So what are some of the big challenges that you guys have faced as a couple in life, and really curious how God brought you through those?
Yeah, well, recently, for instance, we were working out in Greece, spent 7 years out there building a community, and then Brexit happens and totally throws a spanner in our future. All of a sudden, when Brexit was signed, we could only spend 3 months at a time out in Greece, then 3 months in the UK, 3 months back out in Greece, and it totally messed up the whole purpose of what we were doing there and what we did. And also, what was I going to do
Now,
spending,
COVID was the worst. I mean, Brexit was the beginning,
beginning.
but COVID completely stopped it
But you
because we
think,
found ourselves 4 months locked in, either in Greece or in England. We took it in turns to be locked down in different nations. But 2 years of that, plus Brexit, just really pulled apart what we were trying to do moving forward. It took away the momentum, to be honest.
And all of a sudden you're thinking 6 months in England, what do I do with that time? I can't, can't be part-time in Greece and that's it. So, it meant change and we weren't sure what it meant. And just over a year ago, we were back in the UK, really praying about our future. What does it mean? Our time in Greece is coming to an end. How do we manage that? And all of a sudden, this job appears in St Andrew's Church. They're looking for a new minister. They'd advertised and hadn't appointed, and they were having to re-advertise. And then I got told about it, and I just had a chat with the vicar of the main church, and he said, "Well, if you're the right person, we'll know that." And I go for the job, and it opens up. And you think, okay, Lord, it wasn't what I would choose, an Anglican church, but you've opened up this door, and I'll say yes, and I'll go through it.
And it provided us with a home because we don't own anything. So we were renting in Greece, and praise God, this job comes with a house, and so therefore we've been provided now the house with the job, and we can just see how, in the natural, there were moments where we sat there going, okay, so this work is we cannot justify staying out in Greece and being supported and getting everybody around us. And the refugee work was closing because the government had made the camps quarantine, areas. It just was closing down. We thought, well, we can see it's closing down. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What's going to happen? And, maybe if you're in your 30s, you just think, you're something will drop down. But when you're, late
Early
50s, early 60s, that's a very different conversation to be having. And, to keep living like the way we have always chosen to live since we've married, that we would trust God for our futures, for our finances, for whatever, was a big step for us. And yet it dropped so well. Malc did the interview unanimously saying, hey, you're the right person for this job. Great for St Andrews, great for us, and it's just been a real blessing, hasn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's like Paul. He wanted to go one area, and the Holy Spirit stopped him.
Yeah.
And then the next day, he got a call into Greece. And sometimes you've got to say, okay, this is what's opening. I'll go through this door and see what's on the other side. Yeah. And it makes life an adventure, and that's what we've always done, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't always go the way we want it to.
No.
Sometimes we've gone about it in a very convoluted way, but we get there. Like, life isn't linear, is it? It's not a straight.
No, it's not.
Here we go. It's a ziggy-zaggy, and that's how life is for us as well. We're not any different to anybody else. We have our lows, we have our difficulties, but we pull God into all of that and say, help us. And if we need to get help ourselves beyond asking the Lord, we'll ask for the help, because life isn't easy. It is challenging, but we just have to say, okay, today's a new day. Let's see what we can make, and adventure together on it.
We've got twins, and one of the biggest issues we had to make sure our twins were safe and happy when we moved. They moved with us, and schooling, we had to make sure that they were well looked after as well. We didn't want to lose our kids on our journey. We wanted them to come with us on that adventure, and they did, and they were brilliant over the years. So.
Shout out to Aaron and Freya, we love you.
Go. So how did that's a really interesting point, right? So you guys have done the moving around, the church plants, the missionary work in Greece, the stuff with the refugees in Greece. If we get time, we'll touch on that because that's incredible. You do all this amazing stuff, and yet in the middle of this, you've also got family, right? Yeah. You've got the kids, you've got the grandkids. How did you? What were some of the intentional things that you did as parents to keep that family strong? And how did you do that?
We were in Lincoln. We were both working in for the church. I was an elder. I was overseeing the youth, the young adults. Trish was in the worship. And one day our twins turned around to us and said, they were about 7 or 8 years old, "You're not both going out again, are you?" And that made us stop. We realized that they were beginning to suffer from the work we were doing. So we reevaluated, we stopped, and
We took one weekend a month where we just spent time with them as a family. I didn't take any bookings to travel. We didn't take any extra things ourselves. We either stayed, at home in Lincoln, and we did Saturday a day out, or we do something on the Sunday. So we were home, or we went away for the weekend. We just wanted the kids to know that one weekend a month was family weekend, so that they knew that we weren't forever spending every minute of our day with other people and for other things. So I think they needed to know they were important to us, and they were our first primary concern, that through everything that we did, our kids, we didn't put them off following Jesus.
it's that story where if you're in an office and your kid walks into your office, you turn away from your desk and you give them time first to show them more important than your work. So we've tried to put that into
We
practice.
found care for the family very helpful as we were bringing up our kids, parenting. Rob Parsons has some fantastic things to mention about the 60-minute father and all of that stuff, being present. And I think that's it, isn't it? It is giving your kids that focus and attention. And I guess maybe the lockdown made everybody reawaken one more time about family and children, and the time that you hadn't had, that you suddenly had when lockdown occurred. And a lot of reevaluation went on there as well, didn't it? But so I don't know, we didn't get every decision right, but certainly on the big ones, I think we feel at peace with the calls that we've made over the years. And now our kids are grown up, they're married, got their own kids themselves, little ones, tinies.
Both serving in their churches.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's good.
And my kids are not at the same sort of age, but I don't think I'm that far off.
Hey.
And you kind of, I'm curious to know, right? You go from this phase of being parents to being grandparents. What's that like, if you can describe it?
What, the gap between, or the phase? Like, because we had nearly 9 years when our kids had done uni, they were in jobs, they'd found their life partners. That's why we looked at Greece, because Greece for us was such a big ask. It was like wild to go into a culture where we didn't speak the language to begin with anyway, and do something very radical and see if we could start a missional community out in Greece, because there was so little of that kind of thing. But we had this opportunity of 7, 8, 9 years where our kids didn't have little ones, and so therefore our kids were just getting on with life and growing up, and they didn't need us around so much. So we felt we had this window of opportunity, and I think a lot of people in their 50s and 60s can have that moment if they want, where they think, hey, there's many more years for us and energy in our time. Why don't we do something? And I know that there are ministries and charities aching to have people of maturity and wisdom go and say, we'll come and journey with you for a couple of years, even if you don't do 7 like we did, So we took that. And then slowly but surely, towards the end of the first 7 years that we were there, our kids started to say, hey, we're having a kid, we're having a little one. That got hard, because suddenly we wanted to be back in the UK, more available for them, more available to be supportive. And at the same time, particularly my mum, she became terminally ill. So obviously that really started to pull me back to the UK quite a lot. So, how did we manage
it's seasons,
it?
Isn't it? Yeah. And, just love our grandchildren so much. They're the best thing ever, because you can spend a day with them and you get lost in their world, and the rest of the world, all the issues, problems, you forget about for the day.
And it is a privilege to spend time with yet another generation coming through. They're only tinies right now. We've got 4 under 4. But when you do the bedtime stories, here we go again. Let's get out the book. Let's get out the storybook about Jesus. And their little minds and hearts are just taking it all in. It's really precious.
Yeah, I imagine it is. It must be quite fascinating watching your kids raise kids.
Yeah, being parents. Oh, yeah.
And biting your lip at times, thinking,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't get them to sleep. Oh.
there's that sound of my heart breaking just for you. That's what that was. I always found, I can't imagine your kids will be like this, but I always found that every generation of parents, newborn parents that I've come across, feels like they know how to parent better than their parents, and that their level of wisdom understanding is so much further advanced, right? So when we had kids, it's very different obviously to when mum had me. I mean, technology was different and all that sort of stuff, and I would in my head I'd be like, so therefore whatever advice mum gives me is obviously not relevant 25 years later. I now sit back a few years after that and think, what a plonker.
I think today there's all these books available and advice.
Yeah, it just keeps changing all the time, especially health visitors and that. And you think, well, you didn't do so bad, when we were weaning you and everything else, and now look. So yeah, it is different, but it is learning to let them raise their own children. We don't live close to our kids either, which is a bit of a shame at times, especially during lockdown. It was awful. We were on our own in England. Nowhere near our children, but we do get to see them far more than we would have done now had we stayed in Greece, and that's a real blessing. And that was something very deliberately and intentional that we've done and wanted to happen, because they're not tinies forever.
No, that's very true, very true. So you've obviously faced some whole massive challenges, and yet here you are, you're still going. Your kids are still friends with you, and you're obviously in love with your grandkids. I mean, by all my measuring standards, that equals success, right? And you've still got hearts for Christ. God's still doing great things through you. Everything just sort of checks, and you look at that and go, that's incredible. So if I could ask you to distill your, I think every Christian has kind of one message, don't they, that they sort of come back to time and time again, something that's dear and important to them. What would yours be? Would it be the same? Would you have slightly different ones between the two of you?
Probably slightly different for me. I want to belong to a church that says yes to the opportunities in the community. And if an opportunity comes up to serve a community in whatever capacity, or a council, I want us to say, yes, we can do that, unless there's a very good reason not to. Because I want us to be involved in the community, in the city we're in. So for me, just the church that likes to say yes.
I think that reflects in one or two of the stories you've got in the book, especially the South Africa chapter, the 94.7 bike race, where we said yes on one thing, and it was just like a gift that kept on giving. It was an incredible time of that. So there's moments like that, isn't there? I think for me, it will be what the book is saying, that there is more. There's higher heights, there's deeper seas for us to have. Don't settle for too little. Don't settle for the status quo. Everybody tends to like the comfort zone. We all like the comfort zone. But, when you start to step out of that comfort zone, all I can say for me and for Malc is that God has been there for us. He has matched every step that we've taken, and then taken us further and blessed us and looked after us and helped us no end. And so therefore I would say to people, don't just sit back and settle for the sake of settling, Some people just can live in the same house, do the same job, live in the same street for the rest of their lives. Okay, great, if that's what you really feel. Meanwhile, you can affect your neighborhood and make a difference there. That's fine. And not everybody can do what we've done. But at the end of the day, I do think if you know God and you want to follow him, you want to be obedient, I'm pretty sure God's saying there's an adventure for you to have. You just got to trust me, you got to obey me, and you got to take those risks. And they're ones of faith. And he won't let you down. Yeah,
love that. Because they say often, don't they, that faith is spelled R-I-S-K, or is it the way around? Risk is spelled F-I-A-T-H. Yeah. And so I think it's a brilliant it's a brilliant thing to say. I guess a question for you, Malc. Then you want to be part of a church that says yes.
Yeah.
I grew up in a generation that I think saw opportunity and seized it. That was sort of what happened. And this is, so when you say we see an opportunity, we say yes. We see a need, we say yes. We get involved. And I remember hearing the story of the guy that started Kids Club, whose name escapes me now, the chap from New York, Bill somebody or other, wasn't it? And he said that whole ministry started just because he saw a need, and he was like, well, no one else is doing it, so therefore I'll go and sort it out. And he got involved, and amazing things happened as a result. But I can hear 1,000 people listening to the podcast going, well, hang on a minute, does that not lead to burnout? But we almost want to put safeguards around that statement, which I think you must find deeply frustrating.
Yes, I think the church could do much more than it's currently doing. We've got the capacity to do more. And I think every church is struggling with volunteers to get on doing the church work, the kids' work, the creche work at present. But there's a hurting world outside. And perhaps our focus needs to be more outward looking. And for me, one of the guys in the church said, I want us to visit all the houses in the estate so they need to make our name known, that they know what St Andrews is doing. We said, yeah, let's do it. And so we gathered a team together, 12 of them, and they go out knocking on every door in the estate, introducing themselves and what the church is doing and how can we help them. And it's leading to some brilliant conversations. So I think it just needs a good team around you. And yes, you need your rest, you need your recovery time. It is tiring, but it's for what's ahead of you. It's
I mean, maybe people these days don't want the inconvenience, and people choose these days. It is a choose, isn't it? And then, and we're in a sort of a consumer culture, and there's other things that take people's attention away from church. And whereas maybe 20, 30 years ago, you could have thought, oh, you'll burn yourself out because you're doing too much for church. I don't know if that's the same anymore. I think people might burn themselves out doing life because they're too busy trying to spin too many plates.
Yeah.
You do need to make a decision. We made a decision that there were some things that we weren't going to do anymore, so that we could, ease it a little bit easier on our kids and on our family. But we didn't come so drastically down that we felt we weren't serving the kingdom and we weren't following what God wanted in our lives. And for us, it has been sacrifice. It has been inconvenient. It hasn't always been easy. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, because for what we have gained and what we see, I think everything has been worth it.
Yeah.
I think it's that scripture, isn't it? Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven.
Yeah.
And
No, I
that's
agree.
to do with what we do and how we serve the kingdom. So
Yeah, I hope that's a jacuzzi, because I'm really hoping gold encrusted jacuzzi.
Golden I just want to slide down the streets in my socks. That's all I'm saying. I just want to go and keep on going.
Bizarre.
So I find for me one of the constant challenges in life with what I do, because I run a church, but I run a business, and I feel like I'm juggling 25,000 plates sometimes, and that's just the nature of God's call on my life. And but I find sometimes I often pursue a lifestyle rather than pursuing God. Now, what I mean by that is I spend a lot of my time, some would say quite rightly, focused on paying the mortgage for a bigger, better house or a bigger, better car or all that sort of stuff. And you become so embroiled in that that you almost stop pursuing God, and pursuing God becomes quite difficult to do. And then that leads to the statements of, well, I'm getting burnt out. I can't do home group tonight because, life over here, this pursuit of, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate that life is hectic and crazy and busy. And I'm not saying this to condemn people. I'm saying it because it's a challenge to me often. What am I pursuing? Am I pursuing lifestyle, or am I pursuing God? And those choices to deliberately downgrade my lifestyle to create capacity and space to pursue God are not easy decisions to make at the time, but they are life-giving over a period of time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We say this, you cannot outgive God in time, talent, or treasure. You can't. And we have known that throughout our lives. And you think, can I afford the time? Well, yeah, you can actually. If you pursue God, you pursue his kingdom, God will give that time back to you. And then you really enjoy the rest when it comes. And rest is important. We're not saying go full throttle, 100%, 7 days a week. We're not. Everybody needs their moment where they take a breath and they rest. And we've learned.
How do you guys do that? How do you guys do Sabbath?
We tend to go our way for a day if we can, get out from the city. We try to be very good about our phones, not answering them or leaving them and that kind of stuff, because that's not helpful. It's a distraction at times. So we tend to do that. Or if we stay here, we'll go for a walk. We do, we try and do something which is deliberately more restful than, from work.
We value the day off in the week that we get.
Yeah.
And we treasure that and make sure we do a rest.
Yeah, brilliant. Can I ask you a question about your book? I'm aware of time, so I want to get my question in. So I was reading through your book, which arrived the other day. So I have to be honest, I've not read the whole thing, but I'm sucked in, Trish.
Thank you.
And just to plug the book, Higher Highs, Deeper Seas, My Faith Adventures by Trish Morgan. I got this on Amazon. It arrived the next day. So I'm just going to read a section here which says, I believe in miracles. In my mid-8, I won't get into what that is. I also recount stories like the times I met influential politicians. For instance, meeting Martin McGuinness just before, in capital letters, that handshake with Her Majesty the Queen in 2011. This is the bit I want to ask you about. Spending a day with David Beckham filming with the BBC for a show called Live and Kicking, which featured my 2 kids, is up there as an amazing story too. And then you go into a paragraph which doesn't explain the David Beckham thing. So I'm like, hang on a minute. Tell me about David Beckham.
That's the prelude you've just read, is it?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not.
There's a chapter in the book.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, is it? Does it come later?
It comes later.
Oh yeah, it's in the chapter of Lincoln. It's called Lincoln, David Beckham and the BBC.
Okay.
The whole story, remarkable stories of how we've met celebrities.
Oh yeah, page 33. Okay.
Yeah. And, you said something at the very beginning, and you're absolutely right. We are just everyday people. There's nothing special about Malc and me at all. And everyday people can have extraordinary moments. It's as simple as that. That's what Higher Hearts, Deeper Seas is all about. Sometimes he has given us incredible opportunities to stand in front of very influential people and just, feel the prod go on, say it, and other times we sat with the most broken of people who have absolutely nothing in a camp, in a tent in Greece. And either wherever that is, whatever we are doing, we have been very content to do what God has called us to do, wherever that is. The book is quite a smorgasbord of stories and events, and at the very end there's a QR code, and if you scan your camera over the QR code, it will take you to a Dropbox of photos to just back up everything we have said. There's photos of almost
fantastic.
So there we go.
Yeah,
in case I've been on a bit of a delusional trip.
I think it was Heidi Baker from Mozambique who said, just be Jesus to the next person you meet. And we've tried to follow that.
Yeah.
And, if we're in a restaurant and, as the waitress is serving us, we'll
ask the names.
We'll ask their name, get in conversation and find out about them and offer to pray for them. That's, easy to do.
That's appropriate, we do,
it's appropriate,
yeah.
Oh, so fantastic.
Take those opportunities as they come.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me say that you guys have been absolute legends, and I've loved getting to know you over the years, and I've always been super, super inspired by you guys. So thank you for coming onto the podcast. If people want to connect with you, if they want to reach out, what's the best way to reach Trish and Malc Morgan?
The best way probably is by email. There's a greatadventuresingod@gmail.com. That's one way of getting hold of us. And then really find me on Facebook. It's Trish Morgan, singer, songwriter, and other titles. Find us on Facebook that way. That's probably the best. If you want to listen to any of my music, because, we've alluded to me being in a band and songwriting, you can get me on Spotify. You can find me on YouTube. All those places where I don't get paid very much, but yeah.
But go anyway and have a look.
Be that person that gives me 0.003 of a penny, but I'm not being.
Excellent. And of course, it goes without saying, if you're in Bath or Bath, go visit St Andrews.
Please
Absolutely.
do. You've been so welcome. And we do miss Frontline Church in Liverpool, and all the friends that we made in that period of time, and you, Matt, that have pioneered the Crowd Church. We just love the DNA of those people. And when we were in Greece, we felt very well supported and cheered on by them. So yeah, we are now in a different season, in a different city, but we still feel a heart connection to you guys. Thank you.
Oh, bless you. No, it's great. Let me ask you one final question, which I forgot to ask before I asked how people get in touch with you. Imagine for a minute, right, you're at the Oscars, you get your big award, the crowds are cheering, everyone's going mad, yeah, Malc, yeah, Trish, go. And you say, you open a piece of paper and you would say, I would like to thank, I don't know, a family member, mentor, authors, podcast, whatever it is. Who do you thank and why?
Wow, what a question. Over the years, there's been various people who've spoken into our lives. We've been under some amazing pastors. John Harding at Frontline Church is one of them, just been so supportive of us.
I did in the book. I have actually done a thank you list because it's hard. Once you start saying thank you to one person, you think, oh, I didn't say thank you to them.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people we could honestly stand and say thank you, thank you, thank you. We've had an amazing prayer support of people. We had amazing trustees of the charity that we ended up starting. LP The Hope UK. It was a charity that supported us all the way through our Greek time. We had trustees for that. They were incredible. So, we've got a big shout out to many people. I would love to, I dedicated the book to the memory of my parents. Both of them are now in heaven. But also, to our grandchildren. But my kids were amazing in letting Malcolm and I go all these years and do the adventure that we've had. We've obviously, as Matt said, they came with us for the first 18 years, but we went on after that. And we're grateful for the fact that they just were so open-handed and let us be the mum and dad that weren't necessarily the people that lived around the corner. So there's a lot of people to thank, isn't there? And we're just grateful for all the different people at the different times of our lives that have walked a journey with us, and some have walked a journey now with us for a very, very long time. So hopefully I've honored those people in the book, and in every chapter when you see, you think, so yeah. Fantastic.
Well, Malc, Trish, thank you so much for joining us here Matt. On What's the Story. It's great. You guys are absolute legends. Stay inspiring, stay legends. You've been, honestly, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I've no doubt. So that was Trish and Malc Morgan. Big thanks to them. You can get all the info and show notes from today's podcast for free at crowd.church, www.crowd.church. Or if you're signed up to our newsletter, that will be emailed direct to your inbox. If you're not signed up, head over to the website and sign up to it. Remember to also check out Crowd Online Church. We live stream every Sunday, 6 p.m. And we would love to see you and meet you on the live stream. In the comments, come and say how's it, come and say hello. All the information for the live stream is also on our website. We stream 6 p.m. here in the UK, which is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's a little link on there which will tell you what time that is for you in the world. Crowd is just a digital church on a quest to discover how Jesus helps us live a more meaningful life. Just like Malc, just like Trish, on that journey. We are a community, a space to explore the Christian faith, and a place where you can contribute and grow, and you are welcome at Crowd Church. Be sure to subscribe to What's the Story wherever you get your podcasts from, because we've got some great stories lined up, some great guests coming on, just like Malc, just like Trish, sharing their journey of faith, and I don't want you to miss any of them. And in case no one has told you yet today, dear listener, wrong screen. Let's try that one. There we go. You are awesome. Yes, you are. Now, What's the Story is produced by Crowd Church. You can find our entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app. The team that makes this show possible is Sadaf Bainon, George McQuaig, Josh Catchpole, Estella Robin, and Tim Johnson. Our theme song was written by Josh Edmondson. And as I said, the transcript and show notes are available online at crowd.church. Now, That's it from me. That's it from Malc and Trish. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. I will see you next time. Bye for now.